Hello everyone. Sorry, there seems to be some network glitch here. So Mohan, you have started the recording, right? Yeah. Okay, I can see the screen. I'll share my screen quickly. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up if everyone is able to view my PPT slide?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll
Yes.
slideshow more. Okay. Yeah, so hi all, good evening. So my name is Moksha and I'll be the trainer for your course. And just to give a quick introduction about myself, I'm a certified playwright test architect with experience over the cloud DevOps profession, and I've also completed my PMP certification. I've worked as a product owner, and I've also completed my AWS associate architect with overall experience of 15 years in IT industry. So I've worked with both product-based and service-based organizations, which has given me some exposure to wide range of real-world projects and challenges. So before we get started, uh, just give me a second. Guys, can you guys go on mute, please? I hear some noise. Okay. Okay. Yeah, guys, just give me a confirmation if you're able to hear me. Can you guys give a thumbs up, please?
Yes.
Okay, and are you able to view my screen? I'll just put my screen on a slide mode. Is it
Yes.
visible? Okay, fine. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure if you guys were able to hear me, whatever I spoke earlier, but I'll just quickly uh, just talk about it again. So, thank you all for joining this course, uh, and I just want to quickly introduce myself. So, I'm Moksha, and I'll be the trainer for your course. And I'm a certified playwright test architect, a cloud DevOps professional with PMP certification. And with AWS associate architect, and I've also completed my product owner as well, and with the overall experience of 15 years in IT industry. So I've worked with both product-based and service-based organizations, so which has given a good exposure over the real-time projects and also the challenges I've gone through. And just before getting started, I would like to understand the audience a bit better. So, how many of you come from an IT background? Like, can you guys just quickly raise your hands if you're from an IT background? So there is a reaction icon right in the bottom. So can you guys raise your hand if you're from an IT background? Okay, so how many of you are from non-IT background? Uh, can I get a reaction, please? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, so are you guys able to view the reaction? So how do I know like I'm connected with you guys, right? Like, can you guys give a thumbs up? So there is a reaction icon, right? Or you can give a thumbs up here. Can you guys give a thumbs up if you're able to hear me?
Yes, we can able to hear you.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I just wanted to understand like we have mix of people, right? Both from IT and from non-IT. So if I could get uh, the audience better, like it can help me at least to align with how we can have our course accordingly. Yeah. So guys who are all from IT background,
Hi, that reaction template is
doesn't
not
work.
that is not
Oh,
visible actually.
oh, okay. Okay, fine. Uh, okay. Is there any way that I could get an answer? Okay. Okay, fine. Uh, I assume like we have a mix of people here, but we'll see how we can tailor the course as we go through the sessions, like based on the questions and the request from the audience. Like we'll see how we can tailor our course. So I'll just quickly get started with the demo session for today. So I'll just put my slide in a slideshow mode. Let me know if it is visible. Yeah. So, as part of this course, right, like we will be covering, giving you some exposure to the programming languages, basically the JavaScript and the TypeScript. And then we would also see how we can have the automation done using Playwright. So, we'll give you some insights around the Playwright. And then we'll also see how we can build our own framework and yeah, we have a couple of topics more which we'll be covering. So just to give a quick introduction for the programming language JavaScript, right? So as you all know, like JavaScript is a language that basically builds your websites, right? It keeps your website come alive, right? So what you will have to understand basically for a JavaScript is say like you can consider a house, right? Say HTML is like the structure of your house, and your CSS is the basically the paint and the decoration for your house, and JavaScript is basically your electricity that adds life, and it gives lives to and adds functionality to that house, right? So in short, like yeah, so JavaScript is basically used where we design websites, right? And you can consider some examples where you fill a login form, right? It tells you, right, your password is too short, and you don't refresh your page, right? The moment you enter your password in a field, it pops up saying your password is too short, or it doesn't match the case or something, right? So that's all JavaScript. And when you click a button, a pop-up appears, right? So how that works, right, in a website? So that's also a JavaScript. And when there are some content updates, right? Like you see your live scores, right? So all JavaScript. So that JavaScript is something that runs on the back end to generate all this, and it gives life to your web applications. And basically JavaScript helps websites respond to user actions instantly. Okay. So Java, one thing that you should understand is that JavaScript works only inside browsers like Google Chrome. But now I think with tools like Node.js, right, JavaScript can run on servers. That is, it can handle backend logic as well. So since it's flexible and it has a huge community, right? So JavaScript is used almost everywhere in the modern web developments. So some of the real-time examples that gets you to there, right, to an understanding of why we need a JavaScript. So when you like a post in an Instagram, right? So you click on the heart, right? So it turns on into red instantly, right? So all that is on the backend that's running is because of the JavaScript. And sorry, I hear some noise. Okay. Yeah. So when so you're using your Amazon app, right? So you could see that there are only two items left in your cart. So it dynamically generates that data, right? And shows that in your website, right? So all that is JavaScript. And any auto suggestions, right? When you try to do a Google search, and it shows you some auto suggestions, right? With whatever words that you enter in the search. So all that are some of the real time examples where JavaScript comes into picture. So as part of this course, right, so these are the topics that we would be covering. So first, we'll give you an introduction to JavaScript and how, a history and how it evolved, right? How the evolution of JavaScript happened, and we'll also have some hands-on where you'll be setting up the environment, and then we'll also be trying out some examples where you will get a good knowledge on the topics like the understanding of variables and data types. Then we'll look into the conditional statements, the looping statements. Then we'll have some hands on around understanding the arrays and array functions, strings and string methods. And then we will also look into the functions. How do you create functions in JavaScript? And then we'll talk a little bit about the OOPS concept. And then you will get an understanding on what are callback functions, synchronous and asynchronous JavaScript. And most importantly, the error handling in JavaScript. So these are some of the topics that we would be covering as part of your curriculum. And the next language that you're going to come across in this course is going to be your TypeScript. So you can ask me, what is a TypeScript? What is the difference between a TypeScript and a JavaScript, right? So TypeScript is basically an advanced version of JavaScript. Okay. The main difference is that the TypeScript, right, it adds rules to your JavaScript. So in JavaScript, what you can do is you can write a code, but sometimes it leads to some mistakes, right? So TypeScript plays a role where it helps catches those mistakes early before the code runs. Okay. So for example, say in JavaScript, you write something like you define a variable. Okay. Say you're mentioning your age is equal to 20. Okay. So, your expectation here is your age, the value that is being entered for your age, right? The value for the variable age is supposed to be an integer. Okay, you're expecting a number, but you have defined in your JavaScript as age is equal to 20 in characters. Basically, as a string, you have passed it as a string. Okay, TWENTY 20. Okay, but your expectation here is it is supposed to be a number. So to give you a quick example of what TypeScript does here is, so but in TypeScript you can define that this age should always be a number. So you are defining a rule for your JavaScript. So that is where your TypeScript comes into picture. Okay. So if someone tries to assign you a text instead of a number, right? So this TypeScript will immediately show an error. Okay. And to give you more examples, like just think JavaScript is like writing with a pen. Okay, you can write anything that you want. Okay, but TypeScript is like filling a form, and you have to follow certain structures or certain rules to have your code uh, have these conditions captured, the rules set for your code. Okay. And what other examples we can say? You can imagine booking your train ticket. So you must enter the correct details in the right format, right? You should specify your age as your number, the date in a date format, okay, year, month, and day, etc. So all these validations are similar to what a TypeScript does in your code. Hmm? And basically, browsers don't directly understand your TypeScript. So that is something you should also know. So TypeScript is converted to a JavaScript before running. So that is why we say that TypeScript helps developers write a safer code, especially for large and complex applications. You have a very big application that you have built, but you don't define a rule, so it doesn't make your application strong, right? So, so to enhance your application, complex applications, we go with TypeScript. And here again, you can consider some real time examples where in a banking app you cannot afford to have wrong data types, right? So TypeScript will have avoid such bugs. Basically, it captures all your bugs before in hand. Okay. And say you're working in large teams and many developers are working on the same code, right? Your TypeScript ensures everyone follow the same structure, certain rules are being followed. And say you're building apps like you have a dashboard, or say e-commerce platforms, right? Or any enterprise tools, all these benefit from your TypeScript. Okay, so TypeScript is JavaScript with safety and structure, certain structures. So that is something you will have to understand. And as part of this course material, I mean, as part of your course, we will be covering, we'll give you a quick introduction of what is a TypeScript. We'll look into the type annotations, variable declarations, basic data types, type inference. And then we will also look into some of the topics like classes, what is a class, constructors and methods. Then you'll also learn about inheritance and polymorphism. So, what are access modifiers? And then we will also look into the interfaces and namespaces using multiple files. We'll also give you an introduction on the modules, like what does import export do, what is a namespace. And we'll also cover some generics and generic functions and generics classes. So these are some of the topics that we would be covering as part of our course. And next comes your automation. So you have so as part of this course you will get an understanding of two of the programming languages, basically your JavaScript and TypeScript. And next step would be to have your automation done using those programming languages. Okay, so we will be looking into an understanding of REST API automation. So we'll be doing REST API automation using Playwright. And as part of this course we will do some manual testing using the Postman collections. We will try out some API calls. So and see how we'll get, you'll get into some hands on around that. So we'll give you a quick introduction of what is an API testing, so the role of API testing in your test automation strategy, and what is the difference between an API testing and a UI testing, and why do we go with Playwright for API automation. And then we will look into some of the HTTP methods like get, post, put, delete, and patch. These are some of the methods that you will come across, and the different status codes. And then we will let you know what is a header, so what is a request body, what is a response body. And then we will also look into the JSON and URL encoded data. So these are some of the topics that we would be covering as part of our course. And then coming to your Playwright. So, Playwright, right? I am not sure how many of you are aware of this, but Playwright is a tool that basically helps us automatically test your websites. So, you have built a website with JavaScript and TypeScript, right? But you don't have to go and manually go and test it. So, we will be, there should be a way where we can automate these websites, right? So, to test the website, like we will go with Playwright. So instead of manually opening a browser, clicking the buttons and checking everything is working, right? So you don't have to manually do this. So Playwright can do all this for us. So you can consider Playwright like a robot, right? That you can use. It can basically use a website just like a real user, like whatever operations that you do to validate your website, you can do it through your Playwright automation. So some examples that I could consider giving you is it can open a browser, go to a website, enter the username, password, click the login button, and check if the login was successful. So all this happens automatically. So instead of testing the same thing again and again, right? So why do we go for automation? We don't want to. So whatever tasks that are repetitive, we don't want to do that, right? Manually, it's going to take more effort. So basically, instead of testing the same thing again and again manually, we are going to write a script once, and Playwright is going to run it anytime we want it. Okay. Say you want to test a website with a different login users. Okay, so you don't have to go and manually do this, right? Manually it's going to take some effort. So when you try to automate this using Playwright, so it's going to get it is going to run automatically. Your script is going to do the job for you, and you're going to go review the results and make sure your website is stable enough. So it works with browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. So you can test your applications anywhere. Like, I mean, so we can test our applications whether it works everywhere. And another important point is that it also supports multiple languages like JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Java, and C Sharp. So Playwright supports all these languages. So depending on your background, you can use the language you're comfortable with. So just to give a overall view, as Playwright helps you on, it basically helps us test our applications faster, more accurately, and also without any manual effort. So this is something that we will be looking into as part of your course. And yeah, so Playwright, like you can ask me like where do we really use this, right? Some of the examples that I could think of is, imagine you're testing a login page, right? 50 times every day manually. Okay, so Playwright is going to ease your work, where it is going to test and share you the results. And say you have a shopping website, you built a shopping website using JavaScript and TypeScript. And what is important for a shopping website, right? Basically the payment module, right? So you want to ensure that your payment module is stable enough and you don't run into any issues, right? For the website that you have built. So this is where your Playwright comes into picture, where it can automatically check whether these modules are working in your website. And also, um, yeah, so Playwright is like a robot. Consider it as a robot tester that basically does the job exactly like a real user. Okay, so yeah, as part of Playwright, right? So these are some of the features of Playwright with JavaScript and TypeScript that we will be understanding. One is the support for cross-browser testing. So Playwright allows you to run your test on multiple browsers like Chrome, Firefox, and WebKit. And there is also a mode called as headless mode. Okay, you can run your test without launching a visible browser window. So this basically increases the speed of your automation task. Okay, and then we also will also be looking into the auto waiting feature, where it checks for an element in the UI to be visible, okay, before it is interacting with them. So this helps us to make sure that our tests are more stable, and you don't have to manually, I mean, it reduces the need for adding manual weights. And then the important part is your parallel execution. So parallel execution is like Playwright supports running multiple tests in parallel. So this increases the speed of your test suite. Say you have 100 tests, right? It's going to reduce the time for your execution if you have parallel runs going on. It's not going to take, if it's taking 1 hour, it's going to take um, 10 to 20 minutes or 15 minutes, right? Doing, and I mean, when you run parallel threads, right, it's going to reduce the execution time. And then we'll also look into the mobile emulation. So you can also emulate your mobile devices and test your web applications with different screen sizes and conditions. This is like basically to support your application, test your application on different mobile devices and different screen sizes. Okay, so all this is where we will be using Playwright. And as part of this course, so we will be looking into the Playwright installation, and then we'll also work on Playwright for a simple browser launch. You can launch a browser from your end, and then work. We'll also work with CSS selectors, and then we'll also work with what is XPath locator. How can it be used with the Playwright? And then we'll work with the drop down box with select options with Playwright. How do we select options in a drop down box? Then how do we select the radio button? And then we'll also look into how we can handle the dialog boxes and alert boxes that comes in your, that pops up in your website, right? And then working with Windows handling using Playwright, JavaScript, or TypeScript. So these are some of the topics that we would be covering as part of this course. And yeah, then we will also you'll also get an understanding working with how you can manage your cookies efficiently during your web testing, and how you can take screenshots for your test executions. And also we'll see how Playwright can automate web interactions like a pro. And how is exception handling done. And we'll also look into mastering the ajax handling with Playwright. And we will see how we can automate the web tables with Python Playwright. And yeah, so we have some coverage around that, and how we will also be seeing some topics around the advanced Playwright, where how you can do the video recording, right, and take screenshots with using a Playwright. So all these are something that we will be working on. We'll be understanding these, and yeah. So now we are done with understanding your. We'll go. I mean, we have covered two programming languages: JavaScript, TypeScript, and then how we can test your website that you have built with this JavaScript, TypeScript, and next comes your testing framework. Okay, so how you can build your framework using this JavaScript or TypeScript. So that is what the framework that we are going to build is using Mocha Chai. Okay, so for people who are new to this, like Mocha is basically considered it like a test runner. Okay, Mocha is like an engine that runs your test, and Chai is something like it's like a tool that checks your results. Okay, so with Mocha, right, you can write your code. Okay, you can write and run your test cases. Okay, basically, you can consider your test suits, your test cases, or the hooks, right? So all these are like your test cases. So basically, it is like a test runner. Okay, it's an engine that runs your test, and Chai is like an assertion library. Okay, so you can think of Chai is like a tool that checks your results. So why are we going to use both these together? Okay. So Mocha is going to run your test. Okay. And Chai is going to validate your results. So that is the reason we call this as Mocha Chai. And where is it used, right? It's used in the backend testing and front end testing with tools like Selenium, Playwright, and Cypress. Okay. So as part of this course, we will be building our own
Hi
framework.
Moksha,
Yes.
can you give the real-time example? What is that? How even you just brief about that? How we
Sorry.
will use the mocha and chai?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. Okay. So Mocha Chai is basically like with whatever JavaScript that you have developed, right? You would have developed your website. Say you're developing a website. Okay. So in your web, whatever you're done using Mocha, right? It's going to basically build your test. You will build your test cases basically for the website that you have built. Okay. And Chai is like it's going to continuously run your test and make sure it's stable enough. It's kind of a functional testing that's being done. So yeah, so since this is a demo class, right, I don't want to get into in depth into this, but definitely we will have follow up sessions for this where we'll be covering looking into this in detail. And before we get into this Mocha Chai, I think we should also cover the other two topics, understanding on your JavaScript and everything, and then we'll get into detail with this. So I'm just giving you an overview. Since this is a demo session, we are just giving you a highlight on what these are, right? So basically, you can consider that this as a framework that we will be considering to build on our own based on the programming languages that we are using to build our own tool or a website. Okay.
Okay, fine. But I just want to know one thing more. The moksha that if we are going with the TypeScript, then why we are using the JavaScript also? Can we
Yeah.
directly use the TypeScript?
Yes. Like I mentioned earlier, right? So JavaScript is like you can write anything, right? You can write anything in your code, but does it follow a structure, or do you have a set of rules for that, right? So basically TypeScript is like it sets a rule or a structure for your JavaScript code. Okay, say you are building a website, you keep writing, you keep adding functionalities to that website. Okay, say you have a shopping website, you built a shopping website, you have written a code to build a website where you can log in and you can see multiple options to shop different items, right? So how do you know like whether, I mean, there are high possibilities that user can do anything, right? Just consider using your login page. Okay, you are entering your username and password. According to you, when you build your code in JavaScript, you just define that it has to be a user, it has to input a text. That's it, right? But what if the user is not going to enter a text? What is he going to do if he's not giving a proper password? Just consider the example of password. So there are times, right, where you cannot set a password. You cannot have a lean password, right? You should have a very strong password. So you see a pop-up coming, right? Your password is not strong, can you give a different password with special characters or so? So that is where your TypeScript comes into picture. So it sets rules and it defines a structure that this password field has to be of certain types. Okay, it has to cross certain rules, and only if that matches it can allow you to create a user login. Okay, am I clear? Does that answer your question? Hello.
Yes, Moksha.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so then the next topic that we would be covering is, now we have built our own framework, right? So next topic that we would be covering is what is a continuous integration and continuous delivery. Okay, so like many of you would think like why we need to know about the CI/CD, right? It's more of a DevOps role, right? But it's always good to know because this is also an important topic where once you build your framework, right? Like this continuous integration and deployment is going to ease your process of releasing a software. So you build a software and you are going to deploy it. Okay, so your CI/CD is going to ease your work doing that job for you. Okay, so CI/CD is all about automating the process of building, testing, and how you release a software. Okay, so CI/CD stands for continuous integration. So that means when a developer writes a code and uploads it. Okay, so say we have a version control. I don't know how many of you have heard about Git. Okay,
Can I ask one question?
sorry. Yes.
Hello? Can I ask one question, ma'am?
Yes. Yes. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Am I audible?
See, ma'am, you telling expert on the CSS selectors, right?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, yeah, we can able to hear you. Yeah,
Yes,
go ahead.
Mahesh. Yeah.
Expert on CSS selectors, right?
Yes.
But we have to use Selenium also, right? Because by default, Selenium also very
Yes.
speed,
No. No.
right?
Yes. 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 Yes, Mahesh. We will do it through Selenium.
So
Yes.
why you are going with Playwright only?
No, 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 no. It's not like that. But this course curriculum is basically to get you a. I mean, this is not. I mean, this was particularly for using Playwright with JavaScript, right? So I don't. I think. I think you will have to opt for a different session where we cover Selenium. But this session, this course is purely for working with JavaScript and TypeScript using Playwright. So we do automation through Playwright here. So maybe can you just reach out to Mohan regarding this to see if you're looking for Selenium? I think probably I think we should think you should talk to Mohan. So guys, let me just finish. I have few more slides. Maybe we'll come to the end for the questions so that we don't want to hold others. So I'll just continue the session. Definitely, we'll go over the questions at the end of the session. And yeah, yeah, so I was just talking about the CI/CD, right? So basically, your CI stands for your continuous integration. So that means when a developer writes a code and uploads it, right? So you develop a code and you have a version control. Say, for example, you are using Git, okay, where you're committing your code, okay. So whenever there is a commit that happens on your Git, okay, so the system, right? Basically, your CI/CD we usually use the one of the CI/CD that's commonly used is your Jenkins, okay, that does the continuous integration and deployment for you. So this Jenkins, right, it's going to the system is going to automatically check your code whether it is working fine by running some test. Okay, so you have built a code and you have derived some test cases to validate that code, and you are also committing that code in Git. So uh, whenever it recognizes a commit, right, what happens is your Jenkins system, right, it's going to run some test in the backend. Okay, it'll check your code whether whatever commit you have made recently is working and it's not impacting your existing workflow. Okay, so instead of you waiting till the end and then finding errors, right, this is a place where you can catch the issues early. So you don't have to wait till the end to capture the issue, but CI/CD, the Jenkins server, is going to do that job. CI/CD will do that job for you. So it will automatically check if your code is working fine by running some test. And basically, CD stands for continuous delivery, or we call it as deployment. Okay, this means that once your code passes all the tests, right, basically your continuous integration. So once it passes the CI, right, it goes to CD. So once your code is passed completely, it will automatically release or it will be deployed to the users without any manual effort. So you don't have to do anything here. It's just like a one time configuration. Okay. You keep committing your code, you have a set of tests that is going to be taken care by CI, and it is going to continuously going to test whenever you add a commit to your code, and then it is going to automatically deploy without your effort. Okay, so basically you write a code, it uploads, it tests automatically, and it will also deploy, it will get the deployment done for you. So in simple terms, a CI/CD helps deliver your software faster with fewer errors and with less manual effort. Okay, some of the real time examples that you can think of is, think about an app like Instagram or WhatsApp, right? They keep giving you, sending you updates frequently, right? So how do you think that works? Okay, they introduce some feature in your Instagram or WhatsApp, right? So whenever you get an update, right, you get an update frequently, right? So how does that work? So what runs in the backend is basically your CI/CD that helps release those updates smoothly. So there are a million users who use WhatsApp and Instagram, right? So they'll have to deliver, they'll have to deploy this new update across users, across millions of people. So all this is taken care. This is where your CI/CD comes into picture. And consider you have in a project there are 10 developers who are working. Okay, so each one is going to say you have one library file where all the team members are working in that, and this is where your continuous integration comes into picture. Okay, it ensures that everyone's code works together. Okay, whenever someone commits a code, it doesn't break the existing workflow, because the moment you commit a code in your Git, it's going to run some test and make sure it's not breaking environment. Okay, and instead of you manually doing everything and deploying every time, right, so CI/CD is going to do all this in just few minutes. So that is one of the advantage of CI/CD. So once you start working in automation, definitely you will be getting exposed to all these. So you will understand what is Jenkins. So Jenkins is a commonly used CI/CD tool where a majority of integration and deployments happen. And the other thing that you need to know is Git. So that is going to be your version control, right? So where you commit your code, and that is where it's going to store, whether it's a cloud rep or anywhere. Okay, it's going to store your code. And in simple terms, right, consider CI/CD is like an automatic kitchen. Okay, you put your ingredients. Basically, your ingredients will be your code, and it'll make sure that I mean, basically your machine is going to cook it for you. Basically, it'll create a build, it'll run a build with whatever test you have given, and it's also going to serve the dish for you. Basically, it's going to deploy the change for you, all of this without manual effort. So you don't have to sit and run your manual test daily and see if something is breaking, and you don't have to follow up with individual team members to see if their code commits are breaking the workflow. So all this is all sorted out by using CI/CD. Okay, so as part of this course, we will get in deep into understanding what is a CI/CD, and you can also build your own pipelines as well. So these are some of the topics that we will be covering. So we will teach you how to install Jenkins on Windows, We'll prepare you for creating a PyTest project or configure a Jenkins job, how you can create your own jobs, and how you can create enhance the, I mean, you can enable the report generation in Jenkins, and finally the summary. And yeah, next comes your Git. So far I was talking about your code commits, right? So Git is like Git is a version control. So it's basically your source code management. Okay, so that's going to take care of managing your code conflicts basically. So version control is basically, why do we need Git? Okay, why do we need version control? It's just basically to track the changes in your code over a time. Okay, so today you start building a small application. Okay, after few months there's going to be a, that you're going to keep adding on to that, right? You'll keep adding on your modules, or you'll be creating as much as functions you want to develop your UI. Say you're building a website, so today you would have started with a login page, so tomorrow you will build more features into that, you'll bring more support into that. So let's say you're working on a file today and tomorrow you make some changes. Okay, and if something breaks, right, how will you go back and see what happened? Okay, how do you know? You'll have to go back and see what went wrong, right? So Git is going to ease your work there. So it has a version control where it's going to keep track of whatever changes you're making in your code. Okay, so it will create every version for whatever changes that you're committing to your framework. Okay, so basically Git is a tool that keeps track of every changes you make in your code, and it also allows multiple people to work on the same project without overwriting each other's work. Okay, so you can consider some examples where you make a change and save them, and your team member makes a different change. Okay, so what Git does is it will combine. So you made a change in one of the files. Say there is two files you have working on file one, and your teammate is also working on file one. Okay. So Git is going to ease your work where it will combine both your changes safely without creating any conflicts. Okay, if something goes wrong, you can always go back to the earlier version and you can see like what really made to break your code. Okay, you can figure out what went wrong. Okay, and anytime you can remove that change as well. If some team member has added a conflicting code which is going to break your environment, you can anytime go and check the version and you can revert the changes. Okay, so Git is like a history tracker, right, for your code. Okay, so it's like a Google Docs version history. Okay, so you can see who changed what, and it can you can also revert it anytime. Okay, and most importantly, if you accidentally delete a code, okay, Git will help you recover that code for you. And also in a team, right, if five people can work on the same code, there will be no conflicts, and Git is going to ease your work. So you don't have to wait for the other person to add his commit and then add yours. So Git is going to take care of that. So it's basically like your source code management. It manages taking care of your code commits. Okay. So as part of this course, we will give you a quick introduction of Git and version control. We will do some Git setup and configuration, and we will also see about Git project initialization and how a Git flow workflow works. And then we'll also work with some branches. Okay, so you already have a code base, and you don't want to disturb the existing code base, but you want to rework on that framework. Say you have built a framework, you have a code repository. Okay, and you have to really go and modify each and every file. So it's not that easy, right? You cannot go and just like that modify. If you touch few files, it's going to impact the entire code. So what you can do is you can have a separate branch. Okay, if you want to refactor the code. Okay, say you have a code in robot framework, huh? You want to modify it into Java. Okay, you cannot just directly go and touch the framework, right? So what we do is we'll create different branches. You can create your own branch of the existing repo, and in that you can start refactoring your code to JavaScript. So that is where branches come into picture. And then we will also look into what are remote repositories, how you can undo your changes, how can you check the Git log and history, and most importantly, how you can resolve conflicts. Conflict resolution is something that's very important here. Yeah. So I think these are some of the things that we will be looking into. And yeah, the next topic that we would be as part of this course is to give a quick introduction on some of the AWS technologies. Okay, so let you know what is an Amazon Web Service, like what is the need for cloud computing, okay, compared to on-prem environment, and then we'll also discuss about IAM, okay, how you can create IAM roles, and what is an S3, okay, and how can you create lambdas, okay, how can you create a lambda function, what is a lambda, and then we will also talk about what is an API gateway. So how do you monitor the logs, AWS logs using CloudWatch, and then we will also talk about what is an EC2 instance, okay, where you can create an EC2 instance, and then we'll give you some insights on the DynamoDB. So these are some of the topics that we would be covering as part of AWS technologies to give you a quick overview. And following that, yeah, we do have a bonus module planned for this for people who have joined this course. So imagine it's already 11 p.m. and some test has failed, okay, and it's not because of your app, okay, it's something that changed. Basically there is some change in your UI, okay. So say you have built a website and you wanted to there is some modification that needs to happen in a UI, okay. Instead of a user login, say you have a user login page, and it has to you have to enter your username password and you have to click the login button. So instead of login, they have changed it to sign in, okay. So basically you would go fix the script manually, right? So what if you could have a test that could fix by itself, okay? You can have an assistant or someone or an intern who can do that job for you, okay. You don't have to go and do all these modifications, right? If something changes in the UI, say you're working in a customer project and they have built some application and you're testing that application, so tomorrow if there is some change that comes in the UI, right, so how are you going to handle it? Ideal ways you go and see like what really went wrong in the UI, what was changed, and how do you fix that, okay. So instead of that, what if you have an assistant who can do that for you, okay. So you can have, you can also call this like you have some AI interns, okay. So basically it what it does is you can have an AI agent built for planner, okay, and a AI agent built for generator, and a AI agent built for healer. So you have three interns, okay. One is going to be the planner, right? He is going to be the thinker, okay. He'll think what needs to be done. And generator is basically like the developer who is going to go and do that modification for you. And healer is basically a support engineer. So if there are any changes that comes in near future, he's going to go and provide a fix for it automatically. So instead of you doing everything, imagine you have AI interns who will be doing this for you, or AI bots, okay. So we'll be working to this for you. So basically to have all this handling, right? So yeah, so basically to turn this pipeline, right? So what you need is basically a prompt, okay? So using prompts, you can give instructions. So you just describe your agent what you want in a normal English, right? You just convey what you want, you give them instructions, and it will test the login with a valid and invalid. You can, for example, you say that in this UI, just test the login with a valid and invalid user. You tell them what to test, okay? And what planner basically does, right? Like I said, planner is like a thinker, okay? It's going to think what has to be done. So how AI breaks down, right? It'll think like, okay, I need to test whether this login page is working with a valid and invalid user. So it'll frame a set of steps, right? To open a website, enter the username, then it will see whether it is when you enter a right details, whether it is letting you log in, or if it fails, it is throwing a pop-up error. So all this will be taken care by your planner, and then so basically it is like a QA engineer, okay, who thinks manually like what needs to be validated, okay. So you give a prompt saying do this for me, and test this for me and see whether my login page is working fine and there are no issues when I try to log in. Okay, so this planner is going to break down, it's going to derive some steps to what needs to be validated as part of the instructions that you gave through a prompt. Okay, and this generator, right, it's going to write the code for you. So what it does is, now it converts thinking into an actual Playwright code. Okay, so it will write the script for you. Okay, so it will ensure that it is structured, it is reusable, and it is a Playwright ready code. Okay, and then comes your execution. Okay, so it basically runs your code and gives you the results. So basically it will build your test script and it will also run the test for you. And then comes your healer. So what a healer does, healer is like, say if something broke, okay, and basically AI doesn't just fail, right, it will never tell you that it failed, but it will give you some auto suggestions whether you want to fix it or not, correct? So it will automatically try to go and fix it. So say there is a UI that's being that you're testing, and there are some changes that happened in the UI. So what AI does is, this healer's job, right, it's to go and automatically fix those issues. So it will auto correct. So if there is an XPath change, it will see, okay, what is a UI change that recently happened, why is that XPath not matching, okay, so I have to replace, I have to fetch a new XPath, and it will get you the XPath updated in your code as well. So that is where healer comes into picture, it helps you auto fix the code. So basically, your prompt is where you define the test plan. I mean, first is your prompt where you tell what needs to be done, and then comes your test plan, then your script, then your script execution, and then your self healing. So AI driven automation using Playwright, right? It covers all these three topics. So one is like planner, generator, and healer. So for people who are joining this course, I think we have considered this as a bonus module where we'll be giving you some insights about the AI automation and smart agents. And then we will also go over the complete AI workflow, where starting from prompt, how do you define your test plan, then how do you code it, and how do you execute it, and how do you self heal that. Okay, so basically the reason for adding this is, so in future, right, testers won't just go and write the code. Okay, they'll only decide the intent, so you just have to give your intent. I mean, in your prompt you will have to define what is the design that you want, or what is the intent behind your request. Okay, so you don't need testers to do that, so AI is going to do that job for you. And as you all know, AI won't replace testers, but testers using AI will replace who don't use that. Okay, so this is where your Playwright meets AI, and that's how the things get interesting here. So yeah, as part of this, I think we have come to the end of our demo session. So in this course we will cover JavaScript, TypeScript fundamentals, followed by some hands-on on automation using Playwright. So I think that is the scope of this course. And we will also be exploring testing using the Mocha framework, understand version control with Git, and learn how you can integrate everything into your CI/CD pipeline. And by end of this course you will also have a complete understanding of building, testing, and deploying modern automation framework. And also the usage of AI, where do you use AI tools in place. And once we complete the course, you will get a real time practice with whatever you have learned as part of this course. And this will help you apply all the concepts, whatever we have learned, whatever we have gone through so far. And also during the session, like in the upcoming sessions, at the end of the session we'll definitely have we'll go slowly as we cover each and every topic. We will feel free to ask any questions or clarify your doubts, and we'll make sure that everything is understood before we move on to the next topic. Okay, yeah, I think this is all we have. And I think I'll just stop share, and we can start addressing the questions that you have. Uh, can you guys? I'm not sure. You guys told me that you are not able to raise your hand or give a thumbs up, right? So, anyone wants to go first? with any questions? There are no questions. Can you, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself, because I believe like you guys are not able to use the reactions, right? So, okay, if there are no questions, I think I'll hand over to Mohan. Mohan, do you want to take it
Sir,
forward?
available. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Any placements are available after completion of course?
Yes, Arjun. I'll talk to you personally about placement related things. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pratap this side. Hello. Is
Yes,
trainer is
Pratap.
on the call? Yeah. See, I just wanted to know. Now the trending is towards AI, right? So the people are saying that the AI is taking the job. AI can do all these coding things. How it is benefit for the automation when AI is growing in future? I mean, how it affects the automation jobs?
It's not
If the
going
AI,
to.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Pratap, you're done with your question?
Yeah, I'm done with the question.
Okay, okay,
Maybe.
okay. Yeah. So basically, right, A is not going to replace your job. Okay. It's just that we have to start getting aligned to what is new. Okay. We
Mhm.
should know. I mean, right now the trend is that, see, earlier like we just used to rely on Google, right? You do Google search and you identify how do you
Absolutely.
define functions, all that. So it's now you using AI, right? Using your prompts. How do you define your prompts? With it's basically the prompt engineering is something that we have to learn. Okay, it's not going to replace us, just that we have to upskill ourselves to have AI in our day to day work. So that is something that's important. And so it helps you in many ways, right? Earlier it was very difficult to search a code. You cannot I mean, you, even though you derive a code from where somewhere, you search a code for a function and you for a particular logic, right? You get something, but you cannot rely on that completely, right? So what are better ways to do that? Say you write a function in JavaScript, okay, and you think with whatever understanding you have written a logic, okay, but this is where you can extend the way you write your code as well. So AI, right, using AI, you can see like what different logics, right, you can include in your code, how you can improve your code, and how you can do it in a short span of time. You don't have to sit understand everything and then write. So AI is going to do everything for you. It's just that whatever AI gives you, you should be in a position to assess that whatever information AI is giving is right or wrong. So that judgment is in your hands. So you cannot blindly rely on AI. Definitely it's going to ease your job. So say you have a complete knowledge on JavaScript, okay, you have a good understanding of JavaScript. So now you can definitely rely on AI, where it's going to give you some auto suggestions, like why don't you write a logic like this, or if you don't understand something, it's going to teach you some options, or is there any alternate way that you can optimize your code. Say you have you write 50 lines of code, and AI is going to optimize your code. It gives you suggestions, and you can see whether that fits into your work or not. Okay, so that judgment is more important. So it's like usage of AI tool is going to be part of your job going forward. It's just that you should not follow the what we do earlier, right? I mean, you should religiously follow adapting AI in your day-to-day work. That is where uh, that is where you take a stand on that, and definitely it's not going to you are not going to get replaced as long as you adhere to that, right? So that is how it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it is not completely replacing the
Correct.
tester, but
Hmm.
what earlier we used to do, we used to write scenarios and everything, but everything
Correct.
is written with the help of some AI agents like
Correct.
Copilot,
Correct.
Further, and Claude, right? So
Correct. Correct.
that increases our efficiency, and
Correct.
we can do everything in short span of time. That is one part. So when
Yes,
it comes to automation, I mean, no need to learn the language itself. If you are able to understand the language, it is, I think
correct.
it is well and good, right?
Exactly. Yes,
So earlier we used to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks to develop the framework, but it is
correct.
now it is just 5 to 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's going to do everything from scratch for you. It's just that you should be in a position to assess what it has built up, right? So
Yeah.
it's not going to, yeah, that is where your expertise comes into picture. So you should judge whatever it's giving is the right thing or not. So that judgment, so whatever knowledge that we have, that's going to help us judge whether whatever is sent by the AI is right or wrong, right? That deciding factor should be you.
Yeah, the earlier the 4 to 5 resources job, the Claude is the AI agents are doing alone. I mean, only one
Correct,
or two
correct.
people is able to handle it, right?
Right. Yeah. And
Uh,
moreover, reviews, right? You have to rely on someone who's senior who can review your code. But now I don't think
mhm,
you don't need a person who can do that, right? You can have
mhm.
your own Autobot or any AI agent which can take care of that. It can review your code on a timely manner and do things for you. So that is what I
Mhm.
told, right? I mean, earlier the execution time, right, to do a particular task. I think with AI tools, it's going to reduce your time. You don't need to do in days. I think there are a lot of tools where you can, I mean, earlier, like, we used to take the XPath and define what needs to be done, but today I don't think it works that way. So with AI, you you can decide what you want to automate in a UI. Okay, so it's going to write a script for you, it will generate test cases for you, it will generate the report, it will do the CI/CD. So we do have AI tools doing all that for us. It's just that we have to start implementing, I mean, including that in our day to day work. That is the key here.
Yeah, I think that's correct. So everything is done by agent, so it will
Mhm.
link to the user story.
Correct.
Only part is we have to execute it manually, then will have to create a script, then we'll have to run that in pipeline. That is one thing.
Exactly. Yes.
Uh, yeah, obviously it will reduce the the number of, see, earlier there are 4 to 5 people they used to sit and they used to integrate their framework, they used to do all
Mm,
these things, but
mm,
now you is the only one can do it. Just
mm,
we just wanted to understand how it is building the framework, where are the code is
mm,
flowing from
mm.
one folder to other folder. I think that's it.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
ask the agent, it will only create the environment file, report, HTML file, everything it will take. Only to crack the interview purpose, we just have to know the programming knowledge. That's it.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. That you are going to judge what AI is doing is right or wrong, right? You're not going to completely rely on AI. AI can give you anything, right? It's
AI
just like a
can give
normal.
you anything, and also it can destroy the entire framework.
Correct,
Also,
exactly, exactly. So that is where you have to be very cautious. Like, you need to understand things, whatever data that it's returning you, and it relies on the prompt that you give as well, right? Your prompt matters
mm,
here. So it's based on how accurate your prompt is. That's how you're going to get your accurate results. And you should be in a place where you judge whatever the response that is giving is right or wrong. So I think that judgment is where we have to. I mean, we have to take a call.
okay, I know earlier people are very much into Selenium, Java. Okay, now
Mm.
the trending is going towards Java, Playwright, and Cypress.
Correct, correct. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So there is no concept of writing
Correct, correct.
driver.get, all those things, all those generations is gone.
Yeah, true.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. We do have a lot of AI tools where, I mean, basically to do your UI automation, right? It takes months to derive I mean, automate your test cases, build a framework and everything. But I think now we have a lot of AI tools which does that work for us. It builds you test cases, test plan, everything for you, and including your XPath. Like I said, you right. We have a concept of healer, right? What it does, it automatically fixes the environment. So you have a code base, and moreover, when it builds a test, it is also generating a code in the backend with whatever languages you want. So I think that is how, right? You don't need a team of five to do an automation for something. You can do it with one or two people or by yourself. So that is where you're
Yeah, that
really
is what the automation testing jobs are reduced. It is not
correct.
completely replaced.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not going to definitely replace you. It doesn't have the intelligence to. do things on your on its own, right? You cannot rely on AI agent to do everything for you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's where we come into picture. So ideally we should adapt AI usage in our day-to-day activities, so that's going to ease our work and improve our efficiency. Basically, that's the call.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of effort, I mean, spent on creating manual test cases and reviewing those earlier.
Mm.
But now the only one resources can be able to do everything, right?
Correct, correct, yes.
Creating the test cases, link the test cases to the user
Yeah.
story, all those things can be done. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Pratap. Any other questions from anyone? Okay. Okay, if there are no questions, I think we'll wind up this call. Thank you all for joining and have a good night.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Moksha.